Let's bring in international security expert, communication specialist and development expert, Tim Melaye. He joins us from Monrovia, Liberia, where he'll be discussing this issue from. Tim, great to see you on the program. And I know that you have been very aware of the recent security issues here in Nigeria coming after President Donald Trump's remarks about the country being a country of particular concern, and then also warning the terrorists, saying that America is ready to intervene. So the president now says he wants to explore diplomatic avenues to resolving the insecurity in Nigeria and ending those attacks against Christians, fighting the terrorists. Do you think that the president's recent decision to explore these diplomatic avenues may have emboldened these terrorists to carry out the attacks that they did on Monday and on Tuesday? And on Monday, I'm referring to the abduction of the girls at a school in Kebbi State and then the attack on the community in Kwara on Tuesday.
Thank you very much, Marachi, for having me. I would like to also thank the viewers for joining this afternoon. Indeed, the issues that relate particularly to security at global level, when it gets to getting some level of international attention, will, in one way or the other, attract an immediate response from terrorist group. I absolutely agree with Mr. President, particularly with the decision to engage international help. Most often, in terms of fighting terrorism and insurgencies like we are facing in Nigeria today, require more than just what we have in terms of our access to intelligence. It's just beyond local intelligence gathering, sometimes access to some kind of software, some kind of technology that grant access to listening to communications through the telecoms, through other means that you can access information will become helpful. So I agree with the president that the possibility for us to explore higher technology in intelligence gathering will be helpful. Of course, the comment by the President of the United States of America, President Donald Trump, will also be one of the reasons why we've seen increased attack. One of the things that terrorists want to do is to create chaotic environments. And the more they create chaotic environment, the more attention they get, and then the more they assert themselves. So such statement from President Donald Trump could trigger in one way or the other for them to consistently show that they are powerful, they cannot easily be eliminated, and all of those things. So the president is doing the right part if indeed they engage other diplomatic engagements, not like invading Nigeria for war or just encroaching Nigerian level of sovereignty, but in a point whereby you can have a constructive engagement, a bilateral, multilateral engagement that could provide some technical support where need be for identification of intelligence, gathering intelligence, and be able to prevent these things before they happen. When they happen, and then you start to run around, it actually put the government, the policymakers, and particularly the security agencies in a position where they cannot have the necessary coordination that is required to confront these things the way they should. So preventive, like we all know so in this local balance, in easy balance, is that is better than cure. So intelligence gathering is essential. Sometimes you have these challenges that this intelligence are shared, and there were no preventive measures enough for these attacks to happen. And when they happen like this, they throw even the highest security operatives into out of balance. And this is what we are seeing in Nigeria. I agree absolutely that we should explore every opportunity to save lives and properties in Nigeria.
So still talking about international response to this, Nicki Minaj, an American rapper, a celebrity, well-known, has many followers on social media, addressed the New York event yesterday. She said she wasn't, doing this, taking any sides. The most important thing was uniting humanity, people having freedom of worship, freedom of association, freedom to, be associated with whatever they want to be associated with, and that should be respected. She said not only for Nigeria, but also for people across the world. Usually when you see celebrities jump on this, it's because, they take these causes to heart and they consider them important. So what impact do you think her voice will make either on the U.S. president, the U.S. government, as they prepare the response, and even here in Nigeria, as security agents and forces try to quell terrorist attacks?
Thank you very much. I particularly like the position that Nicki Minaj took, because the position she emphasized that she was not taking side in terms of, because it's a very difficult thing for somebody of her caliber, somebody of her recognition, to take a very strong position, particularly when it relates to issues that relates to religion. So the point is that we must depersonalize this fight indeed. We must separate it practically from religion as it is, because we will find out that in these killings, we have a lot of Christians being killed. Indeed, we still have a lot of Muslims being killed. So if we do not find a way to unite humanity and isolate criminals and call them criminals for who they are, we will end up building unnecessary other tensions that will come into this fight. So we must be able to isolate the main point of the issue, which are criminals, until we identify them as criminals, so that those harboring themselves among the people, among Muslims community, can be pushed out by the Muslims. Those harboring themselves among Christian communities can be pushed out from the communities, so that we isolate them as criminals and be able to address them as criminals. I believe that our voice is strong enough. She has a global recognition, and this also is putting more effort to push forward. Again, because President Donald Trump is a leader who is quite sensitive in terms of our response to things. Looking at what Nicki Minaj said yesterday, of course, would trigger an excitement, particularly for a president like President Donald Trump, for them to continue to make a voice towards this. Our effort is not for invasion of Nigeria. All effort should be to curb this, save humanity, save human life, and every voice should count, not to count on one side of the divide, but to push humanity together to fight criminality. And this is a narrative I want to see that the leadership in Nigeria pushes forward, to see that we push forward the voice that, yes, criminals are criminals. Irrespective of whatever claims they hold, we should push them, isolate them as criminals, and attack and deal with them as criminals. Indeed, everyone across the world look for a stronger, decisive action that will curb these activities. As a security expert, as someone who has gone around the globe looking at issues that deal with terrorism, radicalization, and de-radicalization, it is very, very essential for countries, for organizations, and for voices like that of Nicki Minaj to speak out, but not speaking out on the side of the divide, like she has rightly done, is to speak out for isolation of the criminals and dealing with them as criminals. So humanity must come together to crush evil. And that is the point that all we must emphasize to see the end of this.
Yeah, but speaking out, there has to be some implementation on the ground. There has to be some movement on the ground. And I think that is what Nigerians fail to see. I did have a friend from the U.S. who was telling me she'd seen the video, of the attack on the church. And she was just saying, they're looking at the camera. People can identify them. I didn't know how to tell her, that it kind of doesn't work that way in Nigeria. But in more developed climates, that is just how it works. I mean, if you're able to identify the people in the video, then it's easier to actually get to them. Help us understand here, why that would be difficult for us, or if it is even difficult, am I making excuses for the security forces, or, there is something more going on behind?
I absolutely believe that our security forces are doing the best they can do given the circumstances they are having, but they can certainly do more than they are doing at the moment. So the best is their best, but it is not good enough. Why? Because one of the major challenges that we have here is availability of reliable data. Let me give you an example. If today I drive on the street in Washington, D.C., on Virginia, and I beat traffic, my vehicle's number is in the system. The owner of the vehicle's detail is in the system. Its address is identifiable. A ticket will be served that same evening or the next day to the owner of the vehicle that beats the traffic or that picked the traffic lights. But in Nigeria, this person will beat the traffic lights. You will find out that the plate number that is registered with the vehicle, the address that the person put might end up as a cemetery.
Wow.
So technology, data gathering, data collection, all of those becomes very essential in security network globally. But in Nigeria now, you've seen the face of the person. Even if you do face masks, how many addresses are traceable within our country? For instance, if you go to Ajimule and say somebody stays there and you give you an address, it's very difficult for you to trace. So these are the issues that we have that we must also recognize why we're making comparison within jurisdictions. There are other challenges that are just not just the security forces alone, but which has to do with our core infrastructural challenges that we face. So one is that, can I identify the address? Can we trace this person? Do we have data of this identity? Sometimes even our parents, our grandparents, we don't know their ages. We cannot even identify their ages. There are no data to back up any information about them. There are societies whereby virtually everybody's DNA is stored somewhere. Those kind of information will be useful when you are tracking criminals like this. So these are the kind of gaps we face. Does that excuse the security agencies and our authorities? Absolutely no. It means that we must build the infrastructure that will help us to fight these criminalities.
I think that is a very valid point. Thank you so much, Tim, for bringing out at least very salient, important issues that we haven't even explored further, on the program. We'll be reaching out to you, of course, some more as we continue to consider this situation as it develops. Thank you again, Tim Malaye, for joining us on The World Today.
Thank you, Amarachi. Thank you for having me.